Hey everybody, Douglas here from REV Rides, and today is our first episode of REV Talks. We're here with Mike, Shibby Time, and Kelly from Kelly Chameleons. You can find them on YouTube and Instagram. And today, we're gonna go over what to expect in 2023 in the EUC community. Let's get to it.
So I feel like it was last year we were right here in this room and we just got the S22 demos. That was last February.
Yep.
So I remember ever since demoing that was the wheel I wanted to ride. But then most of the year I rode the RS because we didn't get them until, I didn't get mine until about August. But then since then I have been ripping on the S22. I've been stoked on it.
Yeah, same. I mean, this time last year, well, there was the S22 was coming out, the V13 was just a rumor, and Begode had, I don't know, a dozen wheels that were coming out, maybe not a dozen. But it seems like really the T4 and the Master are the only ones that really have stuck. So I've got the S22, I'm really digging that. I really only had it for a few weeks before I got injured, so it still is pretty new to me.
Yeah.
I feel like I had a big gap this year.
Yeah, I think we all kind of started on the RS at the beginning of the year because that was really like top of the line when it comes to off-road riding or even street riding in normal group rides. And the S22 kind of changed that for off-road riding for us because it gave us suspension to where Mike can hit some bigger jumps than he ever has. And off-road riding just became a whole hell of a lot easier.
True.
So what can we kind of expect out of 2023? New wheels coming out, what kind of specs they're gonna have, what new wheels may be coming out? Any ideas to what you want to expect?
As far as the S22 goes, I hear there's the S22 Pro that has upgraded sliders, higher wattage motor. I'm not sure what else it comes with. I'm stoked on the new sliders. Do you know what else is going on with that?
There's some pre-installed Velcro. Yeah.
Do you know if you can upgrade the S22? Like, can you put the new controller and the new sliders into it and just upgrade it?
As far as we're aware, the controller has not been updated.
Oh, okay.
And it's just the motor now is a 4,000 watt motor. And as far as we're aware, yes, you can put it into
the new motor
S22.
in,
yes.
new sliders in.
New sliders. We should hopefully be getting those new sliders on the next order, and can upgrade all your S22s.
Sweet. S22 Pro.
It seems like the motor isn't like the pinch point in the power delivery for the S22, and it would need an updated controller to really deliver the power of a higher wattage motor.
From firmware updates, they could give you that, and I think that's what they've been doing slowly. I think they're giving you each update says that they've unlocked more power. And so I think they're just doing it bit by bit until they see what doesn't work and what is starting to blow boards. But what's not blowing the boards is a V13. And having a
48
overkill board.
Yeah, the V13 looks cool. It looks heavy and big. It's my only kind of qualm about it, but definitely excited to try that one out when one comes up to Portland.
Kuji's a small guy. He looked pretty comfortable on it.
That's true. I mean, the Monster Pro is doable, even though it's big.
Yeah.
Haven't had a chance. People seem to be harping on the range of such a large wheel.
Makes sense. I mean, it goes so fast though, too. If they added any more battery, it'd just be that much heavier.
But they did something with the battery, didn't they? Like, the batteries are encased in...
Yeah, so they're attached to your side panel, and then they potted the inside of the battery to fill any air gaps that there may be to help with waterproofing. And that can be a huge upside and a huge downside. Upside, you're not gonna get any water in your batteries. Your batteries aren't just gonna go bad. But if they do go bad, now replacing your batteries, you can't just take one pack out. You have to replace the whole side panel with the 2 packs on it.
Sounds like a pain for people that do batteries.
And it just takes up a lot more space than it would if you just had regular packs in there.
Yep.
Does it add weight too? Is that part of why it's so heavy?
It should just be the same plastic that we see on a lot of the wheels, and hopefully shouldn't up the weight too much of the wheel.
You know what I'm really excited about that I see everyone working on is the advancements in suspension. It seems like, especially after we were so hype on the S22 and not so hype on the Masters suspension, everybody seems to be, there's like the upgraded linkage, there's the new machine, everybody's kind of machining all different parts, changing the geometry, changing out the shocks. It seems like they're making all of the wheels so that you can change out the shocks now. So I think in 2022 or 2023, we're gonna see a lot more variety and advancement in the different kinds of suspension and in all the different ways the wheels are.
Yeah, not just in suspension either. People are upgrading their batteries now. Roger Hajaj. Okay. I didn't curse, I swear. Roger Hajaj, he upgraded his batteries in his Master for the ABS race, giving them mall cell and making them where they have no limit in the packs, just a BMS for charging them, not to limit the batteries. So he was able to push more power out of his wheel. And he also did the same with his M10-4, making it 100 volt instead of just an 84 volt, which you can see in one of Marty's videos.
A little monster.
Yeah. But the advancements we're going to see in 2023 are just going to grow more and more as the wheels are easier to swap around, and the suspension is just going to get better and better and make for more third-party availability.
Yeah. What other wheels are coming out this year? So
We got the EX30 is another one.
Yeah, that one sounds exciting. But I don't know if I'm excited about something that was just a render. They showed a picture of a new Begode rim that looked way more like substantial than what they've been putting it out. And that was one of the things that I disliked the most about my RS, is that I was just crushing rims all the time.
the rim destroyer.
Yeah. So yeah, one of the renders they showed a really bulky rim that I was stoked on seeing.
I have heard that the new rim that they've been sending us now, they have a bead on it, and that already is making the rim stronger. And
Nice.
I'm noticing a lot less bending from emails from customers. So hopefully these stronger rims are going to stand up more.
Yeah.
That's great news.
What else are people stoked about the EX30? I've heard a lot of hype.
So from what I've heard, there's somebody in New York that has one. I'm not sure on their name. I was talking to Turbo about this. He says that it lacks torque, but he has not ridden one yet himself. He said that the person that was riding it that said that it lacked torque was a 160-pound rider. I personally don't think that's enough weight to push that wheel for what he would want out of the torque as to what you could get out of the Master. But a bigger guy like Turbo could put more weight into that wheel and use that available torque to get up to a higher top speed quicker.
Right.
I'm also skeptical about what people say when they ride a wheel once or twice for 10 minutes and then make, comments about its torque or its power, its riding style. You kind of have to ride a wheel for, I don't know, like one whole afternoon at least to really get a feel for its quirks and its handling and everything. People will just jump on a demo wheel and be like, I don't like the pedals.
Yeah, like Speedy Feet, for example, in the UK, for his YouTube videos, he does mile marker reviews. So he'll do 100 mile, 1,000 mile, 2,000 mile, and give you the update between those miles, what went wrong, what could be fixed, what went great. And it's a better review because he's actually been riding the wheel, as opposed to somebody that's just, like you said, hopped on it once or twice.
First impressions only go so far, and they can be like biased by any kind of thing that you could like adjust, like pad setups or different pedals.
Or have a soft mode, hard mode.
Yeah. Or just overall getting used to the size and shape of a new wheel, which sometimes just turns people off and they like knee-jerk reaction, I don't like this.
Yeah, you're so used to your wheel, the way you have it set up, and I feel like almost every time I get on some random wheel, there's something where I'm like, this isn't my wheel. And I have to like kind of set those things aside when I'm testing out a new wheel and be like, okay, this is something that can change.
Big thing when you're testing wheels out there is make sure to not take into account the pads or even the pedals, because that's something you can change when you have your own wheel, and just have fun riding it. So what wheels do you want to see come out? We talked about the wheels that are going to be coming out and have come out. What wheels would you like to see or upgrades to be done to wheels?
I would like more like low-end torque and more power out of the S20. Also, some advice on some shock upgrades. because I do keep blowing mine. And I'm thinking about getting a tighter or a heavier coil, or like a progressive one, to keep my knees in check. So yeah, those are high on my
Leave us
list.
some comments for some shock recommendations for Mike, and he might just pick one of yours.
I've been riding the S20 and I really like it. The suspension's really great. I've hopped on a T4 recently and I like how it's a little bit lighter weight and a little more narrow. I guess if I was gonna, have a dream wheel, it would be something that is a little bit smaller like the T4, but with the suspension of the S20 and the torque of the RS. If I could just, fantasy football a wheel with all the things that I like, that would probably be my go-to. I think EUC girl would probably also want the similar things that I want. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. The T4 for me just doesn't have the top speed. I think it's going to be a great off-road wheel, and it's going to do really good in racing because it's really nimble. But other than that, the top speed isn't quite there to handle in other scenarios.
What is the top speed?
40 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So a little bit under the S22.
Yeah, I mean, when we talk about predictions or like what we want to see in wheels, I've come to the place where I have an off-road wheel and I have a street wheel.
Yep.
And trying to find a wheel that does the best of both, you're going to have a wheel that isn't really the best at either.
Yep.
And once you go from having just a wheel that's your wheel that does a little bit of each, once you kind of get more into whatever level of involvement and excitement for the EEC community that we're in, it kind of becomes necessary to have a dedicated off-road wheel with a setup with pads and a tire for off-road, and then a dedicated street wheel, so that you're not having to change things out or change out your tire all the time.
Yep. Yeah, having two wheels can be really beneficial. If a wheel is down and you still want to go out and ride, you can ride your other wheel. Or just having an off-road wheel and a street wheel, like Kelly said, can be nice for racing, riding with friends, or just going out by yourself.
Yeah.
So what about third-party accessories? We've seen some things like the car charger from Tucson EV, and then we've seen lots of pads as well for the wheel. When it comes to charging, they've been limiting some of the charging on the wheels. And how has that affected you guys with riding? Do you need to charge at higher rates, or?
I haven't done any long distance in a while. We did our coast trip, and I feel like when we did that, we charged pretty normally. I think there was only a couple times that we charged anything more than just a regular charger.
Yep.
If I was gonna go do, we had plans to do Seattle to Portland at some point. I think if we were gonna be doing more long distance cruising rides like that the charging would probably start to, I don't know if it would be a problem, but it would definitely impact our planning and, the route and everything.
Yeah, I also mostly ride bike parks and trails, and I'm usually tired before my battery's dead.
Full battery lasts you a
Anyway.
long time out there.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the wind resistance that sucks the battery out, and also just going fast, which I don't really rip the trails that fast. Might look like it.
He's lying, he does.
Yeah, he does go pretty fast, but you're going and you're starting and stopping, and it's uphill, downhill, and lots of breaks in between. So we're not really zapping the battery as fast as we would be if we were just out, doing speed runs around the city, doing just giant laps around
Maintaining
Portland.
a high top speed.
Yeah.
Me, Sheridan, and Kane did our ride recently from Portland to San Francisco. And during that route, high charging was a must. And in the new wheels, they've now limited the charging. I had just gotten a Monster Pro for this ride and had my two older wheels that had the old batteries in it that could charge faster. And I had to take those out and put them into my Monster Pro, so that way I was able to charge at a higher rate. Otherwise, that ride would have taken weeks as opposed to 3.5 days.
Didn't you guys destroy a lot of chargers on that ride?
Yes. So that's where third-party chargers come in. They're not the best yet. Having a switch for 110 outlet to a 220 outlet can be problematic if you forget.
Instead of the automatic.
Yep.
Yeah,
Instead of the automatic.
I blew one of those on the coast trip. That way.
I blew two of them on this trip. Yep. So plugged one in and didn't get the chance to flip it before the charger got turned on. Popped it immediately. And then thought that I hadn't switched my other charger yet, so I switched it without even looking at the number. plugged it in, switched it back to 110, and it blew that one as well.
So for anybody that doesn't know what we're talking about, when you plug into the EV chargers, it's at 210 or 220 volts.
Yep.
And normal wall outlets are at 110. So the third-party chargers and the older chargers actually have a switch where you have to make sure it's set to the right setting. Otherwise, it will spark and blow up the charger. So if you do end up getting one of these awesome tentacle-looking charging adapters from Tucson EV, and you're gonna go out and ride around and then charge your wheel, just make sure that your charger can handle 220 volts and that it's set on the right setting before you plug it in.
Yeah, your charger will actually say on it 110/220 if it's able to handle the 220 volts. Otherwise, do not plug your charger in if you're not sure.
Yeah.
Those old Begode ones, like the stock ones, they just switch, right?
Yep. Yeah, they automatic switch. And then there's also a new third party that people have been getting for almost a year now out of from Alibaba. And it's this big silver charger. You have to ask them to specially make these port connectors for it.
Is that the Roger charger?
Yeah, that's Roger's charger, and a lot of other people have that charger now as well. He's kind of started that move for that.
The one charger to rule them all.
Yeah, those are great.
These chargers, they are really good in high temperatures. They do get hot, so be careful if you're out riding in hotter weather, say Southern California, Florida, 80 to 100 degree weather. You're gonna have to be sure you're keeping your charger cool somehow or in the shade, because we did have one overheat on our ride, and we actually had to make an ice pack to have it sit on to keep it cold.
Oh,
Yeah, so.
interesting.
Yeah.
What other parts are, I mean, we have there's so many like 3D printed parts, and even Rev Rides was machining different parts for the S22 for the motor.
Yep.
People are CNC machining new arms for the suspension.
Yep.
There's a lot of just like new and upgraded parts. It's kind of exciting. It's good to see so many maker type people coming and putting things, except for the part that it's kind of hard to get some of these.
Yeah, it would be nice
parts.
to see this year somebody is stepping up in the third party industry and starting to carry a little bit of everything and start carrying like suspension arms, pads, anything that can protect your wheel or upgrade your wheel, as opposed to like say companies like Rev Rides, Alien Rides, eWheels, selling those third party things, it just isn't as easy for them.
Yeah, I think having like a third party company that is just buying you these, because it's so often it's just somebody with a 3D printer and they make a few and
Exactly.
they're not really
that's how Clark started.
Yeah. You should well, you have like Dawn Champion she has created so many ways to attach things to her wheel and put things on the side. Yeah,
Her Sherman really is a tank.
yeah, it's great. But yeah, I saw one time somebody had a seat. They had taken a tackle box and wrapped it in baby foam or a yoga block or something, so it doubled as a compartment for a charger. And I usually have a pretty low profile backpack, and the charger takes up about 80% of the room in my backpack. Some of these bigger chargers like Roger's charger or even your charger that you have that can do multiple wheels, those are like the size of my head, and like in a backpack this big, it takes up the entire space, and they're heavy, so it would be nice to have a way to have the charger sort of exist on the wheel, like we already have a bunch of space.
Built-in charger.
Not even a built-in charger, but a built-in like seat that doubles as a case for the charger.
Yeah, a trunk.
Yeah, a trunk. And then that would lower the stuff that I have to carry on my back, and then use that space more effectively.
There's a guy in Seattle that like duct taped a tackle box onto the top
Yeah,
of
that's
his
what I was
RS
talking
and
about.
opened it up and had his charger in there.
Yeah.
Not the most aesthetic, but each his own.
Well, you can maybe retrofit it, cover it with some baby foam, make it look nice.
Baby foam and Gorilla Tape. That's the way
It's
to go.
custom
Exactly,
neoprene
yeah.
and duct tape pads.
Yep, it's a way of life.
Yeah, so with these wheels this year coming out, starting to hit speeds of 60 miles an hour that we've seen show hit 62 on that limited time 134 volt RS, we're going to see more wheels hit 60 miles an hour what kind of safety things do you think people should use, or what kind of safety things should companies be adding into the wheels?
I mean, beyond just the rider's safety, because if you're wearing proper gear and you know how to fall, and especially if you're pushing high speeds like that, you should be kind of expecting that something could go wrong, and you can slide it out, but the wheels really take the most damage. And so having more protection for the batteries, more bumper things around it, so that when the wheel goes down, because you can't really control what the wheel does, if it comes out of your feet, it'll just tumble and just pshoo. So having a little more protection, or a little more, I don't know, cases? Maybe some cases.
Yeah.
Can we get cases back?
Wheels with cases.
Can we get some shells? Because that was always the thing, with the EXN and the RS, you lose control, your wheel topples over, it explodes, but all of that damage is all the outer shell, and that outer shell can be replaced. It's a pain in the ass to replace it, but it can all be switched out. Now, there's not, unless you add your own 3D printed parts and foam and all this stuff, there's not really anything.
Yeah, metal parts can only be bent back so often.
Yeah, and so it's like, you get one crash on some of these wheels, and it's like, oh, well, now I need, what do you even do?
Now that the parts are metal, they're more expensive too. So.
Yeah.
And at Apple Valley, like a couple master batteries like just went rogue and just flew.
Luckily, no fires, but
yeah.
But yeah, I think I would like to
in.
see cases come back. It also was nice to have cases to attach your pads to. All sorts of reasons why cases were really nice. I don't know why we stopped getting cases.
I did see the fiberglass case has been made now for the Master. I would like to see those made for more of the wheels, and also at a more available price to everybody too. It is going to save your wheel. They are worth the money. It's going to save you from thousands of dollars in damage on your wheel. But the initial cost for a lot of people is what scares them away. They're about $300-400 and can sometimes be a little hard to find. You sometimes have to wait 3 to 4 months to get it. And then sometimes it can show up with nicks. It would be nice to see a third-party company, local, sell something like that.
Like, imagine if you bought a car and it just didn't have a bumper. Like...
Yeah, and be like, supply your own.
Yeah.
There's an aftermarket for it. Just creates an economy around it. Are the master shells, are they the same like from Russia, like mono customized?
I think these ones are EUCU.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure where they are. Ukraine?
Yeah, somewhere out there.
Yeah.
Not in the US.
So what about events, EUC events this year? What are you guys looking forward to?
Northwest Electric Fest, I think, is one of the first local ones that I'm excited for.
Absolutely.
That's an off-road race held in Oregon by Jesse Cargile. You can find him on Facebook. Ask him all the questions you want. He loves it.
Yeah, there's a lot of events this year, and I'm really excited for the cooperation between the one-wheel community and the EUC community at a bunch of these races. It creates, when we can come together, we can have a lot cooler events, better tracks. It's really fun. A lot of one-wheelers have started riding EC, and a lot of EC people also ride one-wheel. So it's really fun to all get together and have, multiple races. Like, you raced one-wheel and EC at Northwest Electric Fest.
Yeah, that was fun. And just being able to do both and have a fun competitive side to something was a blast.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a Shred Fest in June.
Fest,
That one's gonna
Last
be
year
really
was
fun.
their first year allowing EUCs to race with the one wheels. So
that was a really fun race.
hopefully see a lot more EUCs out there this year.
Yeah, definitely be back there.
The closest event, the next one is going to be Eastgate Con in Vegas.
I didn't see a date on that. Do you know the date?
I do. I don't know.
It's sometime in March, late March.
We'll
Late
put that. We'll
March,
put
Las
the.
Vegas.
Eastgate Con.
This is the date.
Be fun. There's Wheel Fun Weekend 3, which they're going to actually allow some EUCs to race in February.
Sweet.
Should be fun. And then there's Burning
I was
Flux
just about
in
to say.
April. Should be tight. Excited to go back out to the lake bed.
The racing out there is challenging, and I definitely recommend you all come out and try it with us. Yeah, so Burning Flux is a one-wheel hosted event, and they went out there last year with a smaller group to kind of test things out as a first-year event, and we did some off-road racing and hung out and camped.
It's in a dried lake bed outside LA, El Mirage, I think it's called. And so it's really fun to ride on the dried lake bed out there. We actually raced kind of through the dunes around the lake bed, which was challenging, but really fun because it kind of felt like you were drifting, almost snowboarding.
You couldn't go top speed. You couldn't just blast through.
It was a very slow,
technical
race.
Right.
But then just out riding on the dried lake bed, that was when I tested out the Master. And if you were riding against or into the wind, so with the wind at your back, I mean, I was able to hit like 50 mile an hour on the Master with absolutely no problem because it's just flat. There's a little bit of wind. There's very little resistance, and you can just go top speed for mile. Well, I don't know how long. I think it's like a mile or two.
It's a great place to test wheels.
Yeah, it's a great place to test out wheels and just ride around. It's
cool.
so fun.
You just ride in the pitch black. Turn your lights off.
Close your eyes.
The flat lake bed, and there's nothing in front of you. It's
Close your eyes.
Trust
and ride
riding.
away.
He was like, "Close your eyes." I was like, "I'm not doing that."
But more than it being a race and like a place to high speed test your wheel, there's also like a big party element to it where they had like art cars out there, and we had like a group ride following like a neon car.
Oh yeah, we had
it's
DJ,
like a dance ride.
Yeah, we had a DJ in the back of a U-Haul. He was driving around, and we were following him as a group ride. They just drove around, and we had music playing towards us as we rode towards the music. That was a great experience.
It's like a little bit of a one-wheel EUC Burning Man type. Me and Kelly are working on getting this ring of fire built that we plan to bring out there so we can all jump through it. And there's like ramps set up and everything.
Yeah, he was jumping over some fire last year. And
yeah, Burning Flex is going to be great. What about Amped in Colorado?
We have Amped in Denver in May 19th, I believe. Seth's rented out a motocross track that also has a go-kart track attached to it, so there'll be
awesome
asphalt and dirt racing all at the same venue. Should be sick. I'm excited. I'm super stoked to go back to Colorado. Colorado also has some of my favorite bike parks around the Denver area. Shout out Valmont. What's up? Ruby Hill. Can't wait to go back. See the Electric Voodoo Boys. Yeah.
Yeah, so that'll be fun. Yeah, we got a jam-packed summer. I don't know how we're going to make it to everything.
There's still more of it. We're not even done with all the events. AVS hasn't come out with any dates yet. Last year there was 2 races, so we don't know how many to expect again this year. It could be 2 again, and if there is 2, we can probably expect the first one to be here sometime between March and May.
Is West Wheel happening this year?
West Wheel, I'm not sure where it's happening this year. It does happen every year. It will happen again. Maybe give some recommendations to Jesse Garner on Facebook.
Or let us know in the comments, where do you want to see West Wheel?
Yep.
West Wheel 6. It was Vegas, San Francisco, Portland. Where's next?
They haven't had Seattle.
No Seattle yet.
No LA either.
No San Diego.
There's a lot of California places it could be. Yeah.
Let us know.
And also, Rev Rides is looking at hopefully soon starting to host their own races here in Washington. We have found a couple tracks, and we're looking into renting them and seeing if they will start to allow PEVs in this area.
You know what kind of race I really want to see? I want relay races. I want a relay race where each team has a one-wheeler, an e-bike, an e-skate, and an EUC, and each lap is done by one of them. And I don't know if we'd have like
you might be hinting at Northwest Electric Fest
or a flag. Yeah, but I think more relay races, and I think training for relay races will be an interesting one because you got to pick your team in advance. You got to like work together. I think that could be really exciting and put kind of a different element to the races.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and promote PEV unity.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of these races too, you're allowed to bring whatever device you want. You can bring scooters, longboards, one wheels, EUCs, a bike, anything electric is welcome to come ride with us. And we just want to see more people in the community out riding. Are there any mountain bikers that you follow that you think should hop on an EUC?
I'd love to see like Danny McCaskill bring some EUC trials to the mainstream because he's amazing, and I would like to see what he could do on a wheel. Yeah.
Yeah, seeing some more pro mountain bikers get on wheels would be cool. See what they can do with it. See what they, see what they think about riding.
I know that there are some people that are in the mountain biking like film world that use EUC to get to spots like along like ridges and stuff. There was some out at Rampage even filming.
Awesome.
Tight.
Yeah, it'd be hopefully this next year we start seeing some more sponsors. The events are starting to have bigger and bigger prizes, and with that hopefully will come sponsors like Red Bull, Monster, and we can hopefully take this sport to the next level this next year.
Yeah, I would love to see a big energy drink sponsor like get interested in having an EUC off-road event, build like or just let us use one of their like mountain bike courses that they've made, some big booters in it.
Yeah, I feel like, especially for Mike, he's talked a lot about wanting to have a race, and Shredfest was kind of like this, and the Race for the Rails had a very cool course that I would love to see for the EUC world, where there's features that you have to hit. It's more off-road, more technical. It's not just a track race on a course. Things where, you know, you have to hit jumps, you have to go over skinnies, you have to go down some like steep terrain. Having a more technical downhill race, I think would be really cool, and finding a place that will let us build a course to suit that, I think would be really exciting and would allow for a whole new style of racing.
Yeah, like EUC cross or monocross.
Monocross.
Like to see EUCs in Nitro Circus, that'd be cool.
And you know, EUC Girl is really pushing the boundaries. I love all of the no footers, no hands. I love how creative she's getting. I'm hoping that I can get back to training. It's hard up here because it rains so much. We don't have dirt jumps year round, so maybe if we could create an indoor warehouse with jumps that we could train as often as she does, or we're just gonna have to road trip to California. But I definitely really love all of the different moves that she's coming up with, and I hope to see other people start to take those ideas and go with them also, because I think that's just gonna start to explode the opportunity with jumps and tricks and making it look, you know, more
She
exciting.
definitely stepped up the game in the sport by just going out and trying these new things. They're all firsts. Nobody's ever done any of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She just keeps coming out with new ones each time. Like I saw her click her heels.
Yeah,
was
the
so
heel
awesome.
click was tight.
heel click, and
Yeah,
then
the
doing-
nothing.
nothing at all, and then
Yeah.
back onto the wheel. How? I don't know.
You know, I need to fix my pad setup because I think I like to be so locked in when I'm in the air, and there's just no way I could
Exactly.
get my feet back in.
Yep.
So I got to figure out how she's, you know, got her
Jumping
set
with
up,
my pads.
you know, so that she can take her feet off and on again so easily.
Or is it just that much precision in putting your feet back?
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
I think she uses different pads for when she knows she's going to do tricks like no footers and one footers. I've been riding the stock pads on the S22 just so I have like more ability to take my feet out, and I've only done it a couple of times. Every time I like go, this is a jump I'm going to try no footer on, every time I just like chicken out. I've taken one foot off like a couple of times, and that's terrifying.
Yeah, I've thought about it in the air, and no, it's just.
It's
I think
pretty
you gotta-
genius that she added the handle on the top.
Which, by the way, you can make at home on your own S18. Her dad took a scrubber handle from doing your dishes and took the bristles off of there, and that's the handle she uses.
Nice.
Oh,
Didn't know
genius.
Yeah.
That. Yeah.
Any other up and coming riders maybe you saw at the races this year that you didn't expect to do as well as they did because you haven't seen them riding and they just came out and blew you away?
I wasn't at the race, so.
Oh, which race are we talking about
All of
in
them.
general?
Oh, I guess.
There's so many fast people out there. I feel like just naming some, I don't really know.
I'm really excited to. I'm really excited to race Maribel again
There you go.
because we kind of went head to head multiple times in 2022, and then at Northwest Electric Fest, she beat me on the course there, and then I didn't get a chance to go to Apple Valley at this most recent race where she won the women's and also competed in the
Men's
sportsman.
yeah.
So that was really cool. I like the way that they set up the racing where there was a women's division, but the women could also race in the open. I think it's really important for us to have a women's division, because I don't think every woman wants to race in the open, but I do think that it is exciting to be able to compete in the open class, and
because there's not a lot of women racing yet, so the amount of experience between riders really varies. So like watching this last women's race, the top 3 are just way ahead of everybody else, and then there's just quite a stagger between the races, as opposed to where when the girls were racing with the guys, everybody's neck and neck right next to each other because the competition is leveled out.
And like there's still that varying skill level in the men's division. There's just so much more, so it's more filled out. It's less,
Yeah, if there's only 8 girls, all 8 girls are racing. If there's 60 guys, only 8 of them are gonna be racing in your class.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Maribel's excited to see Amber Blades come out for a race. We got a lot of like competitive energy there. Would be cool to actually compete against her and see who comes out on top.
Into this next year, EUCs are still kind of a gray area, and have been. I myself have been pulled over a couple times by cops, them just not knowing what it is, not for any particular reason, just wanting to know what it is, why I'm in the bike lane, and if I'm allowed to be there. They're not sure. I'm not technically sure. And I would like to see a little more legislation this next year into what we're allowed to do, so that way we're not as much of a gray area anymore. And seeing now EUCs becoming more mainstream, like in a Liberty Mutual commercial.
Yeah, I mean, hey, we're endorsed by an insurance company now.
Exactly.
Does that mean that they'll insure us?
Can we be on the road? Come on. So just finally telling us what's okay. They've been out plenty long enough now, almost 10 years, maybe even a little bit longer.
I mean, I would, instead of waiting for, the government to tell us what's okay, I would like to see
Don't wait for the government
us
to do it.
come forward as a community with what we want to be, accepted as, what we think are, the rules. And if we can kind of come up with our own code of conduct, and then pitch that to local ordinances, I think that, or local governments to create ordinances, I think that's going to be a better way than just waiting to be regulated because of some problem that comes up.
I think we're a big enough community too. There's got to be somebody in our community that knows a little bit about the legislative process.
Yeah, there's a group of us in Portland that are kind of working on getting together to discuss these things.
You work with PBOT, right?
I've talked to them a few times, and I've gone to some of the events, and I've kind of thrown the idea out to some people who work there, especially to get some promotion for Share the Road that includes PEVs, because in Portland it's a very bike friendly, very scooter friendly city, and there's all sorts of pedestrian only infrastructure. They really encourage non-car transportation, and they've been super receptive to pretty much all of the different electric vehicles. They have all of the different, like all the Nike bikes are now electric, and the scooters. They're very supportive of the rentals, and I think if we can work with them to get a little recognition, like even if just the city can come out and say, personal electric vehicles are allowed to be on the roads. We're here. They're good for the community. They're good for transportation. They'll lower congestion on the roads. If we can get a little recognition to say we're allowed to be here, I think that we'll get a lot more respect from cars. We'll get
that's
a lot
the biggest thing I'd like to see.
I think if we can get messaging, just like the Share the Road campaign really improved bikers' ability to be on the roads, because people driving are like, oh, I'm supposed to respect that bike, even though really people should just respect bikes. It's nice to have them be told to respect bikes, but yeah, I think that with electric unicycles especially, there's such a variance in power and speed. Somebody riding like a V8 or a 16S, they probably should be in the bike lane or on the sidewalk, So like, I don't think that we should come out and say we're supposed to be in the road and only the road, because then you're going to have people that just can't be in the road. But I also,
like bikes, there should be classes.
Yeah, and I also don't think that we should be relegated to only the bike lane or the sidewalk, because some of these wheels, we can keep up with traffic, and it's unsafe for us to be in the bike lane.
Yeah, I personally have almost been hit multiple times in a bike lane.
Bike lanes are scary. Bike lanes are dangerous, and especially in Portland, you are not required to ride in the bike lane. I don't actually think you're required to ride in the bike lane on a bike anywhere, as far as I know. But cars seem to think that you have to be in the bike lane, and you do not. You are allowed to be in the street if there are hazards in the bike lane.
Yeah, a lot of times you'll see street sweepers will clean the road and then push everything into the bike lane, which now we can't ride in the bike lane, otherwise you're going to slip and fall and make your day bad.
Yeah. And then as far as like off-road etiquette and getting us more inroads into the trail using world, I'd like to see more UC people showing up at their local dig days, maintaining the trails, making friends with the people that built the trails and mountain bikers who...
And how can people find where to go for that or find their local dig days?
Local trail organizations often have websites. They often have signs at trailheads of who's maintaining the trails, and they usually have their dig days posted on the websites.
I'll also add to that, if you are new to trails, the mountain biking area, do a little bit of research on trail etiquette before you go out, make sure you're aware of which runs are one way, make sure you're aware of the conditions. You're not supposed to ride on, certain wet conditions or frozen conditions. So do your research, look a little bit into the area you're going into and the weather conditions and the trail conditions to make sure that you are following, the standard etiquette for these places.
Mike has opened up the path for a lot of us to be able to ride in the off-road mountain bike parks and jump parks. And so if you have any questions, you can also ask him what kind of etiquette to use if you want to use that research.
I do actually have a note on group rides, and this has been sort of a theory that I have explained to people that I really like about, and I call it group ride elasticity. So when you're on a group ride, there's always going to be varying levels of skill and expertise. Sometimes there's different PEVs, someone on a pint's not going to go the same speed as someone on a master. And group ride elasticity comes down to making sure that you don't get big gaps in between people as you're riding. Because as we're going in these groups, we're usually trying to get everyone through an intersection before the cars start going, whether it's a stop sign or whatever. And when you start to get these big gaps between people, you're gonna have cars that are gonna try to go. And sometimes, you have two bigger groups and then a few people in between, and it's really dangerous for those people who are in the middle because the cars will try to get through really quick and start going. So group ride elasticity comes down to just being aware of how far ahead and how far behind you everyone is, and it's sort of up to everyone to see if I'm noticing a big gap behind me, I should slow down a little bit and let these people catch up. And the person in front of me should also pay attention and kind of slow down so that we're pulling that together. And if you're in a back group and you see people starting to get further ahead and you're on a device that can go a little bit faster, try to catch up a tiny bit to fill in those gaps so that there's not these big, huge gaps gathering. And
within your comfort level.
Within your comfort level. And a group ride will get kind of stretched out and then kind of condensed down, and just making sure it doesn't get so stretched out that it snaps. That is sort of a theory that I have used to, help guide group rides, kind of keep things together, and I would love to see more people incorporate that into their community riding.
Mm-hmm. And something that also helps a lot with that is plenty of regrouping. So finding points along your route where you're not going to be stopping traffic or getting in people's way, that you can stop, wait for everybody to catch up, you're easy to see, and kind of give everybody a rest, because like you were saying before, there's different levels of experience and some people's feet may be tired and may need a little break.
I'm looking forward to all the events. I'm looking forward to the new wheels. I'm looking forward to recovering from my injury and getting back into training and, really coming back into the fun and the creativity and the skill of it, and building up the community and seeing everyone at all these events.
Yeah, I think 2023 is going to be a good weird year.
Yeah.
Weird.
2023 is going to be a good year for the UC community, because a lot of these wheels are finally being progressed to the point where we're not being held back by the wheels capabilities. It's now becoming our capabilities that hold us back. And because not everybody's going to be riding top speeds of 60 miles an hour, having that safety margin now is going to be really helpful, not just for range, but for comfort of riding at speeds around 40, 45, not feeling like you're right on that edge.
Yeah.
This has been REV Talks with Mike Shibbytime and Kelly Chameleons. You can follow them on Instagram or YouTube. Make sure to like and subscribe, and let us know in the comments below what else you'd like us to talk about in our next REV Talks. Be safe, ride safe, have a good day.